Last January, I opened the greenhouse door and I honestly thought, well, that's it. I've finally built myself a very expensive refrigerator. There was frost on the inside of the plastic. My little tray of lettuce looked like it had given up, and my fingers went numb just trying to water. And I remember standing there doing that awful math we all do in winter. If I plug in a heater, how much is that going to cost me by March? Now, I'm Eleanor from the Gardening Standard, and everything I'm sharing today is from my own trial and error out in the yard. And when I tell you I've made every mistake a person can make with compost and greenhouses, I mean it. Because the thing that saved my greenhouse that winter didn't come from some fancy gadget. It came from the messiest corner of my garden. I had a compost pile going, and one morning I walked past it and saw steam rising off the top like a little kettle. I put my hand near it and it was warm. Not sun-warmed, but actually warm, like it had its own heartbeat. And I just stood there thinking, now why in the world am I paying to make heat when I'm literally making heat right here? So I tried the obvious thing. I dragged a pile close to the greenhouse and hoped for a miracle. And it did work, for a little while. Then it went cold, and I thought I'd done something wrong. I thought I'd killed it. Turns out that's the part nobody tells you. Compost heat is wonderful, but it isn't steady unless you set it up in a way that keeps that heat coming all winter long. And once I figured out that little trick, my greenhouse stopped dipping so low at night, and I got compost out of the deal come spring. I didn't spend a dime either, because it was all built out of what I already had, and what other people were happy to get rid of. So let me walk you through exactly how I do it now, in a way that's simple, realistic, and actually keeps working after the first burst of heat fades. When compost cooks, it's not magic. It's tiny living things doing their job. Bacteria and fungi are breaking down all that old plant stuff, and the breaking down process throws off heat. A good active compost pile can get hot enough that you'll see steam on a cold morning. And if you've ever turned a pile in winter and felt that warm center, you already know what I'm talking about. But here's what I learned the hard way. If a pile is too small, it won't heat. If it's too dry, it won't heat. If it's soaking wet and packed down like a soggy mattress, it won't heat. And it'll smell like trouble. So the whole goal is to make a pile that's big enough, damp enough, and airy enough for those microbes to party all winter. Now, I want to be honest about what this kind of free heat feels like. This isn't going to turn your greenhouse into a tropical vacation when it's 10 degrees outside, but it can take the edge off. It can buffer you from those hard freezes, and it can give you a few extra degrees at night that make the difference between everything survived and, well, that was a lesson. And the other thing it does, which I love, is it makes the greenhouse feel less sharp, less swingy. You know how a greenhouse can be warm in the day and then drop like a stone at night? Compost heat is gentle and slow, and plants really like that kind of steadiness. So the first decision is where this compost is going to live. If your greenhouse gets winter sun from the south side like most do, you don't want to stack anything on that side and steal the light. I learned that lesson quickly. So I keep my compost bins on the north side of the greenhouse, or on the side that doesn't get good sun in winter anyway. And I keep them close enough that the greenhouse wall is basically leaning on that warmth. If your greenhouse has a solid north wall, even better, because you're not blocking light at all, and that wall will hold warmth nicely. If yours is all plastic, it still helps. The bin acts like a windbreak and an insulating buffer, and that alone can raise your nighttime temperature more than you'd think. Now, how do you build this for $0? I'll tell you what I used: old pallets. I know everybody says pallets, but there's a reason. They're sturdy, they're usually free, and they make a nice quick box that holds a big pile. I've picked them up behind garden centers, feed stores, even small hardware stores. Just ask nicely, and half the time they're relieved you're taking them. You can also do this with scrap lumber, old fencing, or even strong wire mesh with a few posts. I've seen people use straw bales as the walls. The main thing is that the pile needs to be contained and it needs to be able to breathe. So here's what I built. A little row of bins right up against the greenhouse wall, like 3 stalls in a barn. And before you picture something complicated, it really isn't. It's just 3 compost bays side by side, so I can keep one in the works, one at peak heat, and one finishing off without me having to start from scratch in the middle of January. Each bay wants to be roughly 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, give or take. Bigger is even better if you've got room. Compost needs mass to hold heat. A tiny pile cools off like a cup of tea. A big pile holds warmth like a casserole dish wrapped in a towel. For mine, I set a row of pallets as the back wall, then pallets on the sides to divide the bays. I wired them together with old fence wire and used a couple of T-posts I already had to keep everything from wobbling. You don't need it to be pretty. You just need it to stand up through wind and snow. And I'll tell you one little detail that made a big difference for winter. I made it easy to add insulation around the outside. Because once the cold really settles in, wind is what steals your heat. So I like having space to tuck straw, leaves in bags, or even an old tarp around the outside of the bins. Not airtight, just sheltered. Think of it like putting a coat on your compost. Now, if you're putting bins right against a wooden greenhouse wall, do give yourself a little gap. You don't want wet compost sitting directly against wood all winter. Even just a couple inches of airspace helps, and if you can put a simple barrier there, like a strip of plastic or an old sheet of corrugated metal, that's even better. The heat still radiates through, but you're not inviting rot. All right, so you've got your bins. Now comes the part that decides whether this is a warm, sweet, earthy miracle or a cold, soggy regret. What you put in matters. The biggest thing I learned is that winter compost for heat is not the same as my lazy summer compost where I toss things in and forget about it. For winter heat, you want a mix that has some fast energy in it. That means greens like fresh grass clippings, coffee grounds, kitchen scraps, manure, green weeds, and it also means browns like dry leaves, straw, shredded cardboard, wood shavings. If you only have browns, the pile sits there like a pile of laundry. If you only have greens, it turns into a slimy mess and everybody in the household will know about it. I aim for it to look like a tossed salad. Some soft, wet things, some dry, fluffy things, and every time I add something wet, I cover it with something dry. Moisture matters too. If you grab a handful from the middle and squeeze, it should feel like a wrung-out sponge, not dripping, not dusty. Now here's the part I wish someone had told me the first time. The compost pile has to start hot before the real bitter weather hits. If you wait until it's already freezing every night, it's harder to get the microbes going. So I like to build my main heat pile in fall when it's cool but not brutal. Once it's hot, it will keep going into winter if you keep it fed and insulated. And this is where my little 3-bin rhythm comes in because it solves that problem of it was hot and then it wasn't. The first winter I tried compost heat, I made one glorious hot pile. It steamed, it warmed the wall. I was so proud. Then, about a month later, it cooled down. Not ice cold, but that meh compost temperature where it's just slowly rotting, not cooking. And I was standing there thinking, well, great, Eleanor. You've invented a 1-month heater. So here's what I do now. I keep one bay that I'm actively building up. It's the one I keep adding to, a little bit at a time. Kitchen scraps, garden cleanup, coffee grounds, whatever I've got, always covered with leaves or shredded cardboard so it doesn't turn into a critter buffet. Next to that, I keep the bay that's doing the real work. This is the one that's big, mixed well, damp, and it's the one that feels warm when you stand near it on a cold day. This is the engine. And then the third bay is the resting place. That's where things go when they've done the hot part, and now they just need time to finish turning into that dark, crumbly compost we all want. Now, how do you keep that engine bay hot instead of watching it slowly fall asleep? You refresh it by moving material through the system. When the bay I'm filling gets big enough, I don't just keep adding forever. I take that whole pile and I move it into the engine bay. And I do it in a way that adds air, because air is what wakes compost up. If you've never turned compost before, don't worry. You're basically just fluffing and mixing. The outer, cooler stuff goes into the middle goes out, and everything gets loosened. And here's the funny thing. You'll feel the heat jump back up after a good turn. Sometimes within a day or two, you'll see steam again. So once that freshly built pile gets moved and mixed into the engine bay, the old engine material gets moved over into the resting bay to finish. That's it. That's the whole trick. Instead of praying one pile stays hot for 4 months, you keep handing the job off, like a relay race. And because the bins are all up against the greenhouse wall, you're not losing your heat source when you do this. You always have a bay that's active, a bay that's building, and a bay that's finishing. Now, let's talk about what actually warms the greenhouse, because I don't want anyone disappointed. The simplest way is just letting that heat radiate and letting the bins block wind. If your greenhouse is small, you will notice the difference. If you want a little more push, there's a very simple habit that helps. Keep the greenhouse tighter at night. Close vents, close gaps, and if you use an inner layer like frost cloth over your plants or bubble wrap on the inside walls, compost heat gets trapped in that little space instead of drifting away. In my own greenhouse, compost heat works best when I pair it with basic holding heat tricks. Even just a couple big jugs of water inside can help smooth out the temperature swings, and the compost keeps those jugs a bit warmer than they'd be otherwise. Now let me help you avoid the 2 big problems people run into, because I've done them both. The first one is that the pile never really heats up, and when that happens, almost every time, it's one of 3 things. It's too small, it's too dry, or it doesn't have enough green material to get going. So if yours is just sitting there like a cold pile of leaves, don't feel bad. Add something with nitrogen. Coffee grounds are wonderful if you can get them. Fresh grass clippings are great if you still have them in fall. Manure works beautifully, but do make sure you trust the source, because sometimes hay can carry things that bother plants later. And then wet it, not drown it. Just get it to that wrung-out sponge feeling. And if the weather is nasty, throw a loose cover over the top. I use an old tarp, but I don't seal it tight. I want it protected from rain and snow, not suffocated. The second problem is the opposite. The compost heats all right, but it smells. And that's usually because it's gone too wet and too packed, or it's gotten too many kitchen scraps without enough dry cover. If you ever smell that sour, rotting smell, that's your pile telling you it can't breathe. The fix is turning it and adding dry browns. Dry leaves, straw, shredded cardboard. Fluff it up like you're trying to air out a pillow. And if you're worried about pests, here's what I do. I never ever put meat or dairy in there. I bury kitchen scraps in the middle, and I always cap them with a thick layer of browns. And if you have serious critters, you can line the bottom with wire mesh before you start so nothing comes up from underneath. Now, one more thing, because people always ask, how often do you have to mess with this? In the heart of winter, I check the engine bay every few days, just by feel. I'll put my hand into the pile near the center, and if it feels like a nice warm loaf of bread fresh from the oven, I smile and leave it alone. If it starts feeling lukewarm and I notice the greenhouse nights getting colder, that's my cue. That's when I move a pile over and refresh the heat. Some winters I do that every couple of weeks. Some winters, if it's mild, I can go longer. It depends on what you're putting in and how well insulated your bins are from wind. And I'll tell you the best part, especially if you're like me and you hate waste. By the time spring comes, you don't just have a greenhouse that made it through winter better. You have finished compost. Dark, sweet, crumbly compost that you can spread in beds, top dress your pots, feed your seedlings with. So you're not burning anything. You're just borrowing the heat that compost naturally makes, and then you're using the finished product to grow more food. If you take anything from my rambling today, let it be this. Don't expect one compost pile to be a steady heater for the whole winter. That's the disappointment trap. But if you give yourself a simple little rotation and you keep one bay truly active while the others are building and finishing, you can keep that gentle warmth coming without spending money on fuel. And once you've felt that warm compost steam on a cold morning right next to your greenhouse, it's hard not to feel a little proud. It's like the garden is taking care of itself and letting you in on the secret.